Good afternoon. My name is Brian Carr, and I'm Stephen's uncle. I just want to start off by saying I want to thank, on behalf of myself and my family, I want to thank you all for being here. And I want to thank the entire Fayetteville community for their outpouring of love and compassion for Stephen and our family. We didn't get into town in time to see that candlelight vigil that was held downtown, but as we're flying in, we passed over that, and we could see it out the plane window, and it was just unbelievably moving. I also want to thank all the members of law enforcement that are here from all the way across the country to honor my nephew Stephen. I can't thank you enough for coming to be here today and to support my family. It's clear to me that this Fayetteville community is never going to allow a lunatic with a gun and a senseless tragedy to define who you are. You are so much better than that. It's unbelievable. I applaud you. I applaud you all for the way that you've loved our family since we've been here. It's just been incredible. I especially want to thank the Fayetteville Police Department and the Fayetteville Fire Department and the Nelson Berna Funeral Home for their support and generosity. You guys have been amazing, just amazing. So I have a few stories about Stephen to tell as well. And like David and John had to say, Stephen's a guy that just loved life. He was a good time, and he was a big guy, so it was always a big good time with Stephen. Stephen and his dad loved to cook. We already talked about that just a little bit. He actually volunteered, Stephen and my brother Paul, to come up and cater my wedding. And we had a small wedding. It was at the marina where I kept my boat. And they had some of the best recipes in the world, burgers and baked beans and potato salad and all of that. And it was a beautiful summer day, so he volunteered to do it. And I said, yeah, come on up. I'd love to have you do it. That'd be great. So, the menu consisted of queso, Paul burgers. You guys don't know what a Paul burger is, and you'll have to ask my brother for his recipe, and I don't know if he'll give it to you, but it's probably the best burger you're ever going to have in your life. But what I found out was that part of the recipe included not cooking burgers on a gas grill. Stephen made sure that I knew that was sacrilegious. You don't cook a hamburger on a gas grill. I didn't know that. I've been doing it wrong for years, as it turns out. So not only did they cater the wedding and prepare all kinds of really delicious things for us to eat, they ran out and picked up a charcoal grill just for the event, because they weren't going to put those burgers on a gas grill. Stephen never let me forget that. He couldn't believe I didn't know that. So there's something we can all take away from this, right? You never throw a burger on a gas grill. All right. There's a message from Stephen. Stephen also helped out on the cooking chores whenever our family got together for holidays. And if he came to your house to help you cook, basically he was going to do the cooking with some help from his dad. And as they got into the kitchen and got things going, somehow Stephen would always have time to take a break, and he'd start going through your refrigerator and through your pantry, and he was looking for expired food items. And he would find things in there that you didn't even know was there. Everybody's got those things, right, in the back of the cupboard. Well, Stephen had a knack for finding all those things. So while he's preparing these beautiful meals, he's also lining up all these boxes and cans on your counter, kind of like trophies. You know, like he just discovered these things, and now you're gonna get it from Steve about why is this stuff in your cupboard. I just thought I'd share that with you. It was one of the strangest things. I think that my brother Wayne, when they were over there cooking at his house, I think Wayne won that competition as far as finding something that was just way too old in a cupboard. He found some honey that expired 4 years prior. And I don't care what people tell you, honey really does expire. This was a mess. You would never even want to crack the jar open, right? But anyway, that was one of Steve's little things that he would do while he was cooking at your house. So I live in upstate New York. I live in the Syracuse area. One year, Steve, when Stephen had something on his bucket list, he was going to get done. And one of those things was coming up to do the ball drop in New York City, New Year's Eve. So when they came up, of course, in Syracuse, New York, in December, it's cold. We did some of the local tourist things. We ran out to Niagara Falls. We did the Boxing Hall of Fame, that sort of thing. And I remember being at Niagara Falls. There's a reason why you can't find a hotel room in Niagara Falls in the middle of summertime, because everybody wants to be at Niagara Falls. In December, there's a reason why all those hotels are empty, is it's cold. It's really cold. Stephen flew in with Paul, and I think it was his girlfriend at the time, and it was probably 10 degrees maybe, and they'd flown in from Houston, where it was 85 degrees, and we're on our way to Niagara Falls. I'm telling you, it was probably the shortest trip to Niagara Falls ever. They got out of the car, they went and took a look at the falls. I didn't bother. I see Niagara Falls all the time. I was just waiting for them. And I should have filmed them running back to the car because it was so darn cold. They thought that they had ended up in Antarctica and they could not get in that car fast enough. It was like, that's Niagara Falls, take a picture, go. And they were just charging back to the car. Funny. So, regarding that trip to New York City to watch the ball drop, so Stephen had heard there's going to be 1 million people down there, and there's not enough restroom facilities to accommodate everybody. Well, that's a problem. Stephen wanted to party. So, being innovative like he is, he decided, hey, adult diapers that'd be the answer to this problem, right? I can party down, I can watch this ball drop, I can make 1 million new friends that are all here for the same darn reason, and I don't have to worry about those facilities. If I can't find them, I got a plan B. That's a true story. He bought those diapers, he had one of those things on, and he was running around my house with an adult diaper on, 325-pound man. You know, it was a Kodak moment, but I didn't take a picture, but I would have never shared it with anybody because it was just unbelievable. But anyway, so they went to the city. They did the New Year's Eve down there. They watched the ball drop. For me, it was like, hey, December in New York City is not the place to be, especially when you got 1 million people down there all doing the same thing, and everybody's got a few too many beers in them. But for Stephen, it was on his bucket list, and like I said, if it's on his bucket list, it was going to get done. And he did. They went and had a great time. And I'm happy to report they never had to use the adult diapers. Plenty of facilities. Stephen loved college football. We'd already talked about that just a little bit. But his favorite team was the University of Michigan. And of course, my brother Paul, Stephen's father, he graduated from Michigan State. Well, if you're from Michigan, you got some rivalries, sure. You got Ohio State, you got Notre Dame, but the Michigan State game is the backyard brawl in the state of Michigan. And it means everything. And Stephen, I think he became a Michigan fan because my father, Stephen's grandfather, had graduated from the University of Michigan. And Stephen just kind of gravitated to that, and it became his favorite team. In fact, if you noticed on some of these pictures we were running earlier, he was wearing a shirt with a big M on it or a hat with the M on it. But it was a great time because when Michigan played Michigan State, Stephen and I could kind of gang up on his dad a little bit and make life miserable for him, and I will miss that. The backyard brawl will continue, but I've lost my ally when it came to that Michigan State situation. So this is a story that Stephen loved to hear. Not necessarily tell, but this is one he liked to hear. So, I was born into a family with 4 boys total, and I was boy number 2. So in any family like that, there's a pecking order that gets established pretty quickly, and a lot of that is based on size and strength of those kids, and a lot of that is based on the age of those kids. That's how that pecking order gets established. Well, I'm here to tell you that only works when you're little. So there's a big difference between a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, or maybe between a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. When you get to be 20 and your little brother is 18, that playing field gets leveled physically. And I knew that day was coming because I was boy number 2, which meant I got to pick on boy number 3 and boy number 4, with my brother Paul being boy number 3. So I enjoyed that until that playing field became level. And I learned the hard way when that playing field became level. I think I may have been out of high school, just barely. Paul was still in high school. He was on the wrestling team. Paul was an athlete too. He played football, wrestled, all that. But Paul had come home from wrestling practice, and he was going to show me his new move. He learned a new move in wrestling practice. Come on out in the backyard, I want to show you this new move. Well, that always spelled trouble for me, because I wasn't just going to learn a new move, I was going to get my butt kicked. So we went out in the backyard. I think my dad was cooking up some burgers on a gas grill. Whoops. And we got into a bit of a wrestling match. I was kind of holding my own for a while, but the next thing you know, I was flying through the air. I ended up upside down on my head. My face was in the dirt, and it was rolled up like a pretzel with my brother Paul on top of me. And my dad, he thought I was seriously injured. He came running over and said, "Get off of him, get off of him. Paul, you're gonna break his neck." And my brother Paul must have told Stephen that story several times, but every time Stephen got together with us, and we had a few beers in us and maybe a few Crown and Coke, Stephen would say, "Oh, Uncle Brian, hey, tell me about that story about you and Dad wrestling in the backyard." I said, I don't want to tell you that story. And he'd say, "Well, yeah, tell me that story." And I'd make up excuses. I'd say, "Well, I think that day I had a cramp in my leg, or I slipped, and your dad just fell on top of me." That's about how it went. Of course, he knew I was just fibbing. He knew what had really happened. Stephen liked to challenge me as well, and that same pecking order and leveling of the playing field kind of repeated itself. When Stephen was little, I could knock him around. I could, take advantage of him a little bit. But as he got bigger, and like we just said, he's 6'4", 300 and something, I don't even know. He made me look like a little man. But I think we were at a family reunion, and Disney World, and he wanted to wrestle with me. So I'm thinking, I can still take this kid. So I'm wrestling with Stephen, and I thought I was holding my own. Next thing you know, I'm flying through the air. My face is in the grass. I'm rolled up like a pretzel, and Stephen is on top of me. And at this time, I hear my brother Paul saying, "Get off him, you're gonna break his neck." So this book had 2 chapters. Neither one of them ended well for me, unfortunately. But that's the kind of guy he was. Stephen was all about competition, having fun, full of life, just the best kid I've ever known. Again, I just want to thank all of you for coming today. I want to thank the members of law enforcement that have traveled here from all across the country to honor Stephen. I'm hoping that one day, when the Lord calls me home, I'll have a chance to have that rematch with Stephen. So if you hear from on high, get off of him, you're going to break his neck. I think that'd be Jesus Christ pressed into refereeing service, and you'll know that I have met Stephen again. I love you, buddy. Rest in peace. End of watch. And go blue. Thank you very much.